Welcome back to another Pirkei Avot text explication. We are now on to chapter 3, text 12. This is from Rabbi Yishmael, and this is a nice, short, fairly pithy statement. We have seen a lot of verbose statements, but this is a really interesting text because just as we saw largely throughout the very first chapter, this one is a fairly short text, and also it is tripartite. It consists of three things. So here we go. Rabbi Yishmael. So Rabbi Yishmael was it was in the early part of the 2nd century, and he often contended with Rabbi Akiva as far as intellectual battles, as it were. So here we go. Rabbi Yishmael says three things. The first of which is be suppliant to a superior, or be. It's interesting because the Hebrew is really short. Have a kal l'rosh, be light to a head, meaning anybody who is hierarchically ahead of you, be light to them. That you yourself should be light, as opposed to giving them kavod, giving them honor. Okay. The second one is v'noch l'tish choret, submissive under compulsory service. It's interesting, submissive. The Hebrew is noach. It's almost as like easier, but that's, I guess, the submissive. And the final was v'have mikaba et kol ha'adam b'simcha, receive everybody happily. This is actually a very similar, this aspect, this third piece, v'have mikaba et kol ha'adam b'simcha, is similar to what we saw from Shammai in the end of the first chapter of Pirkei Avot, in which he said, receive everybody with sever panim yafot, with sort of a happy face. Rabbi Yishmael seems to be going further and said, actually, not just show happiness on your face, but actually receive people happily, everybody. Okay, this is certainly, I don't know about you. I mean, it's certainly hard enough even to receive our friends with happiness, or even family. So clearly this is something that is, this one certainly seems to strike me, I don't know about you, it strikes me as highly aspirational. And receive people happily. I have a few things to say about this, even just on this third aspect. One is, nobody does this, at least as far as I know. And if somebody does do it, I think people look at them strangely. I don't know about you or what your thoughts are on this, but seldom it seems to not be socially done, as far as I know. And if, I don't know, it's an interesting move on Rabbi Yishmael's part to assert this. And again, he's making suggestions. And think about even just the language he's employing. He uses for the first and the third, heve, be, do these things. And even the second one, noch l'tish choret. So really he's certainly what's really fascinating. Let me pull back, okay? I'm going to pull back. What's really fascinating, sort of on a broader scale about all these three things, is that they're interpersonal, but it's also about being, I want to say pleasant, but more than just simply pleasant, but it's interpersonal relations. Have a kal l'rosh, sort of the opposite of, don't expect honor when you're talking to someone who's the leader. Submissive under compulsory service, and then receive everybody happily. Be someone who people want to be around, ultimately, right? Just be a happy, friendly face. And I think that's a really interesting move on his part. Whether people are actually going to do these things, one would hope, for the first one, that one would be, as he's suppliant to superior, right? And not just trying to fight them, right? Even though they're your superior, right, to a leader. Certainly at work this happens, but even if you're not at work, it's funny because certainly as Jews, we are a little bit contentious, right? So we're not always so. But I think it's as far as with respects to specifically honor. I mean, that verb there, kal, or that adjective, as opposed to kavod, right? Kal and kavod, kaved, heaviness, but it's also a synonym for honor. And anyway, so I think these are some interesting things about being an enjoyable person to be around, and interpersonal and social settings and situations. So, all right. Well, that's some pieces of advice and wisdom from Rabbi Yishmael, and thank you so much for watching.